The movie, The Bikeriders, which is out right now, has been advertised as Goodfellas on Harleys. I went and saw it yesterday, and Goodfellas on Harleys is exactly what this movie is. And if that's something you're into, for me, that's definitely something I'm into. See it. I liked it. What that description sums it up so perfectly. I think the best way to review this movie is just to talk about similarities and differences with Goodfellas. The cinematography, the realism, the fact that it is all based on real life accounts of real life criminal organizations evolving, all very similar. The biggest difference is that's about an outlaw motorcycle club in originating in Chicago instead of about the New York Mafia like Goodfellas is. Some of the differences, instead of being from the perspective of one of the bikers like Goodfellas is from the mobster's perspectives, it's from the perspective of the wife of one of the bikers. Uh, it Now with Goodfellas, I don't remember exactly how many of those, especially the minor characters, were real people with using their real names, or how many were based on real people. The vast majority in the Bikeriders are fictionalized versions of real people. They do not use the name of the real Outlaw Motorcycle Club, which is in real life it's the Outlaws Motorcycle Club. And if you've studied the history of the criminal actions of outlaw motorcycle clubs in this country, it's going to be pretty easy to tell who is supposed to stand in for what. In this movie, they don't call them the Outlaws, they call them the Vandals. And there's a club from California they only meet one member of called the Dead Devils. Obviously, you should be able to guess who. One of their members is even named Sonny. But all the people, it appears, except for one guy who is the journalist who's documenting all this, he's the only one, to my knowledge, that they use the real name of. And so that, I guess, is a difference with Goodfellas. If you've now, I don't know if that's going to be that much of a spoiler, though, because I've studied the history of outlaw motorcycle clubs in this country. So I could tell pretty quickly who everyone was supposed to stand in for, but I still wasn't sure exactly what was going to happen. So I hope that's not really a spoiler. It shouldn't be. It wasn't for me. But like Goodfellas, it kind of deconstructs a lot of the mythos that Hollywood builds up around some of these criminals. Although it doesn't do it right off the bat quite the way that Goodfellas does. In Goodfellas, my favorite thing about Goodfellas, the first scene picks apart attempts to make mobsters look like heroic working class rebels. In the first scene, the mob harasses a mailman for the crime of delivering a report card to Henry Hill's parents that made Henry Hill's parents want him to stop hanging out with mobsters. The mailman had no role in all that. The mailman had no role in Henry Hill's education, and yet they still beat him up and threaten him. And then Henry Hill also makes derisive comments about the blue-collar workers in New York. Like, look at these idiot scrubs who have to work for a living. Only mobsters just take whatever we want, whenever we want. And with the Bikeriders, it takes a bit longer to get to that underlying theme. But it still ultimately has the same theme of, outlaw motorcycle clubs are not lovable, rough around the edges, all-American rebels. You want lovable, rough around the edges, all-American rebels? Join a law-abiding motorcycle club, like most motorcycle clubs are, or just riding a motorcycle on your own. Outlaw clubs, ones with the one percenter patches, they're ignorant and violent and criminal and evil, and they've always been this way. And sure, maybe later generations upped the ante and were even more barbaric than their predecessors, but it wasn't because they lost their honor or lost their way. They were building on what their predecessors started. And the Bikeriders takes a bit longer to get to that element of its message than Goodfellas. Goodfellas does it really right off the bat. The Bikeriders takes a bit longer to do it, but they get there. And I'm just trying to think what else there is. I think Roger Ebert always said that his job as a movie critic was to help people understand whether or not they want to see a movie. And I think the best way to help you understand, do you want to see the Bike Riders or not, is just to describe it. And the Bike Riders, it is Goodfellas on Harleys. So if you're into that, which I am into, see it. I know it is an R-rated movie, so I would not suggest taking kids. I mean, it's not. I've seen much worse in this day and age in terms of violence, in terms of language and other inappropriate stuff. I've seen much worse. It is still not a movie to take kids to. But it's a pretty good movie. And like I said, Goodfellas on Harleys. And if you're into that, see it.